I think it's important to start this conversation off by letting you know a little bit about how we actually met. It was, it's like she was sort of always meant to be in my life, for us in each other's lives. It was basically through my mentor, who is also a friend of hers, who we didn't even know we had the connection. I met her at a meeting one morning, and I remember this long, beautiful, like mermaid-esque hair. This tall, striking person who I was like, I want to know her. And I did. We exchanged some massage and acupuncture, and we became quick friends. And then the pandemic really helped us to sort of grow closer, because it's one of the only people that I sort of trusted to be around outside of my family. Um, lots of deep talks. So that's kind of how I met Pakara back in 2017, 18, and then grew closer to her. Through all of this, I had switched careers, became a mother times two, been married for several years, and had gone through quite a few things, including obviously what everyone else has gone through in terms of COVID. And also, um, just a lot of inner work that I had started doing in my early 30s, the hard stuff. And it's a lot of people are starting to understand how important doing the inner work is, but you're in such a vulnerable space that it's hard to share with folks. And Picard just became one of those people who I could just share with. And I didn't, sometimes it was just holding space, and sometimes it wasn't even expecting anything back. But what she's done for me as of late, because now I'm in a place where I can really receive this sort of feedback that she offers, is she's beyond wise. She is incredibly intuitive, highly sensitive, and a deep listener, to the point where she hears the things you're not saying. And look, I've been in therapy, and I have a therapist and all of the things. I have all the things in place. But what Picard does is sort of pull things out of you that you didn't know were there, or things, and also things that are like in your face, right? That you can't see because you're in the problem or in the mix of whatever's going on. So there's a few occasions recently, over the last year or so, where I can recall where she's helped me quite a bit. So one of them really is with my family. And I have two young kids, I have a husband, and we both are business owners. And during the pandemic, my husband really had to shift what he was doing. He was sort of like a restaurant chef, and had his own space, and did all that kind of restaurant type work. But then during the pandemic, he had to start seeing sort of like private clients, doing private chef work. And then he started working for places that he really didn't want to. And he was just all over the place. And that energy was really affecting our family in a negative kind of way. And I just didn't know what to do, because I saw him despairing. I had given all the advice I could. And I was speaking with Picaro one morning, and I said, I don't know. It's the energy's all over the place. And so she said, and that's where we need to sort of stop and decide what to do. Because what happens is, and this is how she explained it, when energy, it's scattered, it kind of fizzles up and out. And so you're not really left with any focus. And so it's like, you got to choose one or two things. But what that meant for me, if he were to do that, what that means for me, I would then have to sort of adjust what I was doing in my business. And I, as a married person, that's kind of what you do. You have to compromise and sacrifice. But I didn't know how to approach him, with this. So she helped me to think about one or two options for him, and then how I could sort of fill in those gaps. So I didn't want to wait because this was something that had been carrying on for a while, like 2 years plus. So this was pre-pandemic, but it was just exacerbated by the pandemic. And so I went to him with what Bakar and I had talked about. I laid it all out like that night. We spoke that morning. I laid it out that night while it was still very fresh. And I was nervous because, so much of a person's identity can be attached to work and what they're doing and how they're providing for their family. So I did. I laid it out, and it was so well received, like shockingly well received. So it's like, okay. Um, so we decided for him to focus on this one sort of catering gig and then his business on the side doing part-time stuff, and then I would pick up some more hours in my business. I added a day, a half of a day, which was more than enough to sort of cover what he was doing. And it was like magic. I don't know. I don't know how I didn't see it, but she did, and maybe it was because we had talked about this at length in the past. I'm not sure. Maybe I wasn't ready in the past for her to say these things to me, but it's like she knew that this was the time to say these things in the way that she said them, and then offer me real options. It wasn't just like, oh, you need to do this one thing. It was like, if this, then that, or if he comes back and says this, then offer that. And it was the type of real, loving, thoughtful advice that I needed, that I wasn't even getting in a therapy session. Right. So that changed everything. And I'm living that now, right? I'm living a happy husband coming home, right? From the one thing that he's doing, and then being able to work on what he really wants to do on the side. The kids get to have that happy dad around, and I love my work. And so the extra half day has not been an issue. In fact, it's been quite lovely spending more time with my clients. So I'm so grateful for that, because it is in real time has changed our family's schedule, our mood. And it's something that now in the future, if I notice it again, sort of like that scattered energy, or, with the kids, with him, whatever, maybe with another friend, I'm able to offer some advice by way of what Pakara did for me. So that's just one example that has impacted me greatly, has impacted my family greatly. In terms of other things that she does for me often, usually we do like quick voice notes on the phone. But as an entrepreneur, as someone who changed careers completely in my early 30s and has grown, my business is insane, but it's just me right now. It's, I'm at this weird space where I'm super busy and I do really well, but not well enough to hire someone else yet. And so it's a lot on me. And there are moments where I feel, oh, am I doing enough? I don't, should I even be doing this? All these sort of these doubts as an entrepreneur that sometimes you get, especially when you're working by yourself. And she's just always there. She's always there for an encouraging word, but it's not just like, oh, you're doing great or keep going. It's, I know that feeling. Sit with that feeling. It's okay, because sometimes that's the feeling that lets you know you're doing the right thing. It's not always like sunshine and rainbows and like this sweet advice. Sometimes it's really hard truths that she tells me, but that's what I need to hear to move forward. And I'd say, this comes up, I don't know, once a quarter. You have those. I'd say with the seasons, as often as the season changes, sometimes those dark voices come in, and she's just a steady and reliable voice of light that I have during those times. And then another specific time that she has helped me is also recent. I was in a situation where I was renting from someone space to do my business. And we had a plan to move together to another space in the building. And about a month away from that plan happening, I got word that that was no longer what this person was wanting. But instead of the person outright telling me this, it was sort of like this manipulative messaging, emails, and I couldn't quite understand. So of course, who did I reach out to? Pakara, because she knows everything. But I reached out to Pakara because I didn't know what sense to make of it. I mean, I spoke with my husband about it, and actually, what he said was so in line with what Pakara said. But she sort of helped me dig deeper because we're sort of in the same world in terms of wellness and how these things operate. Anyway, um, so I'm telling her the situation, and she goes, this is not about you. This is about the other person. There's something they're not telling you. And I think instead of waiting for them to give you a decision, you need to move on now. And that was the best advice. So probably the next day I started looking for new spaces. And then I get this really interesting message from the person I was renting from at the time that basically said, I actually don't even want to move forward with having you with us. Nothing that you did, but I'm trying to decide some different things for myself. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Why wasn't that presented at the beginning? But totally right. Cara was totally right. It was nothing about me. It was all about this person and their indecision about whatever they were going through. And so because she helped me figure that out before I maybe got this messaging, like, I don't know, 5 days after I had spoken to Pakara about what to do. So I had already moved on looking for a new space. And within those 5 to 7 days, I found a space, which was wonderful because had I waited, maybe that space wouldn't have been available. And now I'm in a situation where it's extremely stable for a very long time. And also, Pakara helped me to understand how to speak to the current person I'm with now about just transparency and letting me know, like, what's going to happen in 2 years. Are you raising the rent? Do you plan on moving? What does it look like? And just because oftentimes as healers, you're so wrapped up in like the work and wanting people and caring about the person that you forget sometimes about that business side. So she's also really good at like this balance of loving, caring, healer, wellness world, but then like there's a line and it's like, all right, let's get down to business and let's be real about that, because you can't just be floating around healing people without like a place for them to go, or some sort of consistency in terms of your business. So she's really helped me out with that a lot too. So I got to tell you, and these are just 3 very small examples. I feel like I call on her for many things, and sometimes it's just holding the phone and crying, right? Or thinking about or sharing things that I otherwise wouldn't be able to share with someone else. Sharing my dreams with her, because sometimes you share your dreams. There's just certain people you can't, because not, sure, they might crush it, but not even that. Like, it's your baby, what's in your heart. It's a very delicate matter, and things like that need to be handled with care. And so she's someone who I'm never afraid to share with, because I know she's going to handle whatever that is with a certain amount of care. It is incredibly difficult to do what she does, not just as a human and her personality and her characteristics, but just as a professional, to hold so much space for so many people in a way that is so genuine and loving and also real. The realness is there. There's no moment I've ever felt, oh, this is just some like general advice or blanket answer. it's always so specific and real to what you need. And that's talent. That's a gift. That is a gift that even some of the most educated therapists in this world don't even have. It is a gift, and she has it. And the world, the world deserves it. Anyone who is blessed enough to be in her orbit is, I mean, she's just, I can't say enough. I just can't say enough good things. So she's helped me tremendously and my family. She's easily one of my best friends. So yeah, love Bakara. Mwah!